reality behind this cosmos. And that if that is so, there are not any mistakes in the world.
You've been on my mind for a while now. Feel like we've been lying for a while now. Your body said like gold and I can't help but to touch you. Waiting on my soul, is it down? We should let it go. I stuck around too long. The thought is on my mind to get away from you. Come up on my back, I only lose. Should've never been so quick, taking my love away. I'm involved with you, girl, I can't. I've got this blood on my hands. I've got this blood on my hands. And the only things that we're afraid to talk about. I've been waiting for my heart to break. I've got this blood on my hands. I've got this blood on my hands. Quick trip into Japan, yeah, the flight way. Met a bad Asian thing, had to fly. Neck on ice age, in the cartoon, then I just don't know what she saying. Hey. But the love, she's so bad.
What's going on?
This
is a remix that I did. It's a track called Blood on My Hands. I hope I don't get clipped on this one, because it is a remix, so the YouTube gods might not sense it. But yeah, I'm a big old school drum and bass and jungle fanatic. I was a DJ back in the early 2000s. Doing raves before raves were a thing. So yeah. All right. So we're going to be talking about honesty. Honesty. Sorry about the sound issues early on. I was having trouble with my sound, but I think it's taken care of by now. So we're all gonna. It all checks out. All checks out. All right, so we're going to be talking about honesty. You know, are you honest with women? And you know, on the surface, it's kind of like a pretty basic concept, but this shit goes a lot deeper than you think, right? Because you cannot lead if you are not honest, right? And so what are the stumbling blocks that are in the way of honesty, right? Because there was times, you know, in my past when I was not as honest with women as I would have liked to have been, and I know guys struggle with this, and it's almost like you've got like a fear that you're going to be found out, right? Or that you're bullshit, or that there's some shame or guilt around your intentions. And this is entirely the wrong way to go about things, but it's the reality, right? The reality is there. I don't like this song. So yeah, the reality is there that, you know, a lot of guys carry around some sort of embarrassment or shame around around their own desires, right? And guys will lie. They will they'll have the intent to be sexual with the woman, for example, and on the surface he'll be like, "Oh, let's go out on a date," okay? And then all of his behaviors and words, like leading up to the date and during the date, are all they're all not telling the truth, right? He's not living and breathing and communicating through his truth, right? Because he's afraid that he'll either get shot down, or she'll make fun of him, or she'll shame him. And the funny thing is that these are things that he's already doing to himself. These are things that you guys do to yourselves before talking to her, right? So, or before you're going out on the date, right? You are shooting yourself down. You are putting shame on your desires. You are making fun of your desires, right? You're not standing on anything, right? You're not standing on yourself. So because there's that internal roadblock, the guys are coming off, they're trying to come off as something as non-threatening and innocent, and not trying to make her feel uncomfortable in any sort of way, right? But the thing is that, like, who do women love, right? I mean, you guys have like archetypes for him, right? He's the bad boy. He's Chad, right? He's Giga Chad. One second. So, he's got all these nicknames, and he's not, like, in your imagination and partially in reality, he's not worried about upsetting her. He's not worried about ruffling her feathers. And this is partially the reason why she loves him, or why he's intoxicating. The bad boy, or the villain, or the the Chad, or what have you, he's unabashed about who he is. He's got no shame about who he is and what he wants, right? And this sort of thing, this is what's intoxicating to her, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I can feel his presence, his authenticity, that he's really here presenting himself to me without any sort of shyness or trying to mask over his intent with being too much of a gentleman, or being too nice, because like, with all due respect, like, being a gentleman is a key behavior, but being too nice, right? To the point where it seems contrived, right? That's all off-putting, right? Because the woman knows you're lying. The woman knows that you're not being fully real, because nobody acts this way, all right? And it's to no fault of your own, fellas, right? Because society has conditioned you into being a certain way, that is there, that, and you're told that, like, oh, this is appealing to women, right? This is how you should be in order to gain their interest and their attention and their intrigue and so on. But it never works, does it? I know it doesn't work, right? I remember doing these sort of things when I was younger. It does not work, right? But there's a trick to it, though, because some women will just allow that in their lives, right? They'll be like, oh, okay, well, this guy, I'm not really into this dude. I know he wants to get in my pants, but he's not really trying. He's not a real threat, but he's really, he's entertaining. He's nice. He looks cute. My friends might approve of him or whatever, but I just don't feel any butterflies. He doesn't give me a zing sort of feeling. So I'm going to go out with him. And then the guy thinks, wow, she's really paying attention to me. She's giving me some airtime. And therefore she must like me. And you guys can go through multiple dates with multiple women, experiencing similar things and thinking this is what it is when a woman likes you, when she gives you some of her time. And that's really not the case. That's really not the case at all when a woman likes you. When a woman likes you, she turns a little bit crazy. She can't stop thinking about you. She will stalk your shit. She will try to kind of like weasel her way into your life. She'll try to give you stuff. She'll try to do favors for you. She'll ask to come over to, like, hey, like, have you eaten today? Right. And she'll want to come over and like make you food. Just anything that she can to get into your world. Right. And you can see the effort. Okay. Because this is how humans operate. When humans want something, it's pretty damn obvious. We make it known. And it's not like we're trying to make it known. It just is known. Okay, it's not like, oh, I'm going to make this guy know that I like him, so I'm going to start doing this and this and this and this. It's not that premeditated. It's all impulsive, right? It's driven by emotions, okay? And that's the big difference, okay? Between a girl liking a guy and not liking a guy or sidelining a dude is emotions. It's strong emotions. And the thing is that guys who are honest, right? And both with themselves primarily, and then with the woman, this allows for the beginnings of polarity, right? Because there's no guarantee that she's going to like you, but the guy who's like this doesn't give a shit. Like he's not placing any bets on whether she likes him or not. That's not what it's about. He's not really concerned with that. He's just there to present his offer, present himself, and to just be. All right. And leaving it up to her, like whether she, wants to continue on with him or not. And this is the, this is where the rubber meets the road. The guys who are concerned, she can pick up on this stuff. She can pick up on the fact that he is concerned of whether he's doing a good enough job or not, right? And it's like a twofold thing because, on one hand, it makes her feel kind of special because it's like, oh, this guy, he's like trying really hard to gain my approval, right? And it just feels good because it strokes the ego, right? We all have egos, so and women are no different. So when a guy is trying to stroke her ego and make her feel like this stranger into a princess, then yeah, it feels good. But at the same time, she can't ignore the facts that it's blatantly obvious to her that he's trying too hard. Okay. And sometimes guys will purposely not try hard so that they appear like they're not trying hard, which makes him appear like he's trying hard. All right, did you follow that? Like he'll try his best to appear as though he's not trying, which is just as obvious to her. So there's a difference between pretending that you don't care and actually not caring. And it's kind of like the feeling is indifference, right? Almost like if you're going to the grocery store and you want to purchase some new trash bags for your kitchen trash can, and you usually get the ones that are scented, and they're all out. and there just happens to be like unscented ones in the size that you need. There's no thought or emotion about it. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm just getting that. Complete indifference. That's exactly how it feels when you have indifference toward whether a woman likes you or not. It's complete zeroed out. It's not negative, it's not positive. And this too, like I mentioned, the split intrigue with the guy who's trying too hard. The indifference also has a split intrigue, because on one hand it's like, oh, this guy is like, he's calm, he's calibrated, he's not all over me, he just seems really grounded. That's comforting in a sort of way. That's attractive. It piques my curiosity. And at the other hand, there's a bad feeling, because it's like, wait a second, why doesn't this guy think I'm a princess too? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with him? Right? So it doesn't leave the best taste, not completely, right? But then that can turn into, let me show him, right? If he communicates the right way and gets her mind going and engages her emotions, then, to be inspired to dig into him more, then that indifference, like the sour side of indifference, can actually work for him. And and that just becomes, when you become seasoned with communicating to women's emotions, because they all want to feel like, see, that's another thing, right? I know we're getting out here about honesty, but women don't want to think. Like, if you go out with a girl, she doesn't want to think. So stop talking about your favorite fucking movies. Stop talking about politics. Definitely don't fucking talk about manosphere shit. My God, I'm in this chat. It's like a WhatsApp group chat with a bunch of guys. And this one dude, he mentioned the things that he talks about, and he talks about manosphere shit. And I'm like, why? Why the fuck would you bring up any of that stuff? Like, women don't care, because it's not about them in a positive way. It's not for them. And it's somewhat combative. So I'm just like, dude, don't talk about that shit. But just, back to what I was saying, women don't want to think when they're out. They want to feel. They want to feel their emotions. And when you can engage her emotions, that's when you win. That's when things win. All right. For both people, right? Because now she's gaining an experience that she wanted, right? Women love their emotions, like even the bad ones, right? Like, women will purposely watch sad movies when they're not feeling bad at all. They're just like, oh, that movie that's full of heartbreak and like trauma and shit. I feel like watching that again. And they'll just flip that shit on, like, Sunday evening, not doing nothing, just like sit down, have some snacks, and watch a sad ass movie, because they love having their emotions engaged. All right, they'll watch scary movies. They'll watch shit that gets them agitated. They'll watch things that make them feel happy or sweet or something erotic. They love it all. And I don't know if love is the right word, but it's hard to describe. But I know that there's an aspect of them that willingly accepts the engagement of all of their emotions. Like, they have, like, here's another example. They have no problem picking little fights just to get into that feeling, right? And it's not a conscious thing either. That's the other kicker. Women are so incredibly complex in a beautiful way. You can be annoying as fuck too, but you have to take the good with the bad. But yeah, so when you're out, just understand that women want to feel things. They want to feel their own emotions. They don't want to feel fucking your emotions. So don't get that confused. So, like, a lot of guys will do that. Like, couples that I work with who are, struggling and, they're not connecting. They don't have any polarity going on. And, the guys, if you look at like mainstream advice for relationships, couples that are struggling, the women will be like, oh yeah, I just, I don't feel him. I don't feel emotionally connected to him. Right. You hear this a lot. Okay. I don't feel emotionally connected to my man. And so the guys will take this and be like, oh, well, that means I need to be more emotive. I need to share my feelings more with her. And they often find out that this doesn't work. It actually makes her feel repulsed. It pushes him away from her. Okay. What she really means when she says, I'm feeling emotionally disconnected from my man, she's saying, I want to feel more emotions. And typically the reason why this happens is because he's not doing things that engage her emotions, right? Because a lot of times when guys get into relationships and things get into a rhythm and things have been going on for a while, complacency develops, right? Normalcy, familiarity, and things of that nature, right? It's pretty natural. But it also leads to boring emotions, okay? Repetition and consistency and doing the same shit every week or every month, year after year. Like, women get fucking bored, okay? Because they live through their emotions. They can't just like be stoic the way guys can. Like, we can literally just shut that shit off or just put it in a box and put it up on a shelf and not think about our emotions for a very fucking long time. And it doesn't bother us at all. Like, we go through life completely fine, okay? I mean, unless there's some really fucked up emotions in those boxes. But generally speaking, that's what we can do. We have no problem with it. But women, they don't thrive that way. It actually makes their light go down. Okay. When women are engaged with their emotions, it livens them up. Okay. It makes them feel alive. All right. And when their man is not engaging them in any sort of way that does this, they start going down. Those emotions start going down. They start settling into this sort of like calm, go nowhere baseline. And it's really boring. And it doesn't suit their nature. And so they will then say, oh, I don't. And this is not a good feeling. So they say, all right, I feel disconnected from my man. But she's not saying I want emotions from him. She's saying I want emotions. I want my own emotions to be sparked and inspired and raised up and brought down and, flipped around, corkscrew, roller coaster, whatever. Okay? That's what she's saying. All right? So just keep that in mind. Because being emotive and shit does not get the results that many couples, mainstream dating or relationship coaches will tell you it does. It does not. What really brings it up is polarity. That is the beginnings of strong emotions. All right. So hang on a second. All right, so yeah, that's the beginnings of strong emotions, and so like Picasso said that the future of every painting begins with the first stroke. You must start off in a polarizing position. Your mental makeup, your framework, your isness should be in a polar opposite to her from the beginning. From the moment you say hello on that first day, that first message or what have you, you must be completely different from her in your whole vibe, in the energy coming off, the way you think, the way you see things, the way you speak, the way you stand. Everything that is about you needs to be not feminine. Right? And guys who don't understand this, they think that this means being brash. This means being overly bold. This means being aggressive, right? It does not. Okay. It means being grounded in yourself and not trying to be her friend. This is like, you hear it often, but you really got to drive it home, because guys are still doing it day after day, week after week, approach after approach. They're still coming at women like with this vibe of like, don't worry, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm not trying to have sex with you. I'm interested in getting to know you. I'm totally friendly. I'm a non-threat. You have nothing to worry about. Is it okay if I come over here and just like talk to you for a little bit? Can I message you or whatever? It's all very, very safe. It's all very, very ginger-footed. All right. This is not the beginnings of polarity. This does not say, I'm over here, you're over there, and this is black and white. And there's a stark difference between me and you. This is where it begins. And it all starts in your mind, right? So it all starts with you being able to establish this within yourself, which means being honest with yourself. Going back to the title about being honest, right? Be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Now, I know that sounds like some bullshit new age bumper sticker nonsense. But when you get to my neighborhood, so to speak, it makes a lot of sense, right? There's only one way to be as a man, right? And now don't go thinking that that has a particular look or particular style. It means operating in your truth as a man, operating from your masculine core. This is being honest and not being afraid about how she takes it. All right. Now, because I'm hoping that you as a man in your masculine core, there is some semblance of having manners, right? Congeniality. You know, you don't want to be like a fucking caveman, okay? But hey, if that's who you are, that's who you are. Just don't expect to go very far with it. Or don't expect a lot of women to be interested in that. But if that's who you are, by all means, okay? Because as honest as you are, the whole idea is to not lie, such that the women who do find strong interest in you, they can be with you as you are. That's the whole key. It's not about amassing tons and tons of women that you have these torrid affairs with that are like, in and out and they really don't mean anything or whatever. Sure, you can do that, but that's not really what it's about, right? It's about you operating from your masculine core, from your truth, and whoever fits with that, that's who fits with it. That's it. But too many guys, they're like, well, what do women want? What do women want to see in a man? And then they try to become that thing. They try to alter parts of who they are in order to fit into those preferences in the hopes that they will get picked. That's really what they're trying to do. And this leads to a presentation that's inauthentic. And so from the get-go, you are lying. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to her. And I know some guys who are just like, who gives a fuck? All I want to get is some ass, right? And it's like, all right, yeah, that's cool, but you're not operating as a man. You're operating as a sex-starved little boy who's likely looking for approval. That's likely what's happening. I mean, if you really want to dig into it. But, hey, I'm not here to tell you what to do. Just I know that it happens. And the thing is that mentality, that way of moving is nothing to build off of. And this is the thing about men versus males. Men create. We build. We want to leave an effect somewhere. You can't do that as a stone skipping across the surface of the water. You don't create much of an effect, right? The ripples go away very quickly, right? Versus if you take like a big boulder and don't try to skip it, you just toss that shit in the lake and it goes boom and a big splash goes up and huge ripples go out all the way across the lake. And that thing sinks to the ground and it's there, it's solid, it's established, right? I want to have this effect in women's minds. I don't want to just skip across her mind. I want to be like a big boulder being dropped into the lake of her mind. And she can't get me out. She's not going to swim down to the bottom and lift me up. There's no way. There's no way at all. So I'm more into having impact. Impact. So the woman's like, who the fuck is this who just came into my life? Where did he come from? And why does he make me feel the way I do? That is way more enjoyable to me than just some girl who I don't really engage her emotions too much, and we fuck one night and that's it. Or we meet up every 3 weeks, right? For like a every 2-week booty call. Like, I don't know. But hey, if you want to do that, that's totally fine, right? If just like, yeah, fuck that deep shit. Like, I just want to get some ass and have some sex, have a good time, and not think about it. Totally fine, right? Do what you want to do, But if you're going to do that, make sure it's the honest truth, right? Make sure that's really what you're motivated by. Because I do know guys who are like this. I know guys who they're just motivated by physical pleasure, right? They're not, emotionally messed up. They're not looking for mommy. They're not looking for validation. They're just like, I like to fuck, and that's it. It's like a purely like physical thing for them. And there are guys out there, it's not a lot, right? They will pose as this. They will pose as guys who are just in it for the pleasure. But most dudes who say they're actually in it for the emotional stimulation that they get from it. Because, let's face it, most people don't have great upbringings. 1 second. Just telling my girl that daddy is streaming. Pardon me. All right. So it's imperative. It's an imperative aspect of your makeup as a man to have honesty. And part of it, like in order for it to even work, there has to be acceptance. And it's acceptance of everything that's in you, right? Including your shadow. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with shadow, look into Carl Jung's work, okay? He was active like during the time of Sigmund Freud and all that shit, or he was a predecessor, or no, he came after Freud. But anyways, he did a lot of work with shadow. And basically the shadow is the aspects of yourself that you don't like or you don't approve of, or that you'd rather not admit is part of you. Okay. Stuff that you're not proud of, right? That's your shadow. This is stuff that you actually have to learn to accept of yourself because it's not going anywhere. Even if you so-called heal from these things, they're still there, almost in the same way, like when an alcoholic goes through AA and they'll say, hey, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. It's sort of in that vein, right? It's always going to be part of you, your shadow. Even if you don't act through it anymore or it doesn't cause you any pain, it's always going to be part of you. So, do some research, learn a little bit about the Jungian shadow archetype, how it plays out in your psychology, and then learn to embrace and integrate your shadow into you, right? This is part of honesty. This is part of living as a grounded, authentic man, right? Because this is what allows you to present yourself honestly to the world And there's women, they like honesty, right? They may not like your type of honesty, okay? But that's fine. They're welcome to not like your type of honesty. They're welcome to have whatever feelings, thoughts, opinions, emotions about you that they want. Who gives a shit, right? We're not here to impress them. We're not here to fit into their mold or fit into their preferences or what have you, right? That's what the males are for. Men, we're here to learn to live authentically on this planet. We have very few years to do this. So get cracking. You're going to lose friends. You might lose family members. You will likely lose lovers. You might even lose your wife. But that's sometimes the cost at learning to be authentic. Because the thing is that, when you spend time with someone and you grow to have your beliefs and perceptions about that person, it'll throw you for a loop if they change. And oftentimes people don't like it. They don't like change, right? They're like, wait, I expected you to be like this. I expected that thing to operate the way it's been operating for as long as I've known it to operate. I don't like this change. And the same thing is with people. When they see you operating differently, some of them may not like it. They might criticize you. They might get angry. Okay? And you just have to let them. And the real ones will stick by. All right? So you'll find that the more in tune you become with yourself, people start dropping off. And there's only going to be few people who stick by and they're like, yeah, I know Justin. This is my guy. And I've only got like a couple of people in my life that I've known for many years, and they accept me as I am. And these are my true friends. There's a lot of people that I know, but I wouldn't consider them as part of my inner circle. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it is for men. You don't have these large circles you can have large circles, but they're not your inner circle, right? Because people will just kind of, again, they like to skip on the surface. But so get used to it, right? If you embark on this path to learning to live authentically, you're going to have fewer and fewer people in your life. And that's okay, right? Because you're gaining the relationship, basically the only relationship you truly need, and that's the one with yourself. This is the one that's going to last you a lifetime. The other ones you can't guarantee, but you're going to be with you until your heart stops. So make sure that relationship is on point. And then you can start behaving and acting authentically. Then you can start answering questions about, who am I? What do I stand for? What are the things that I actually believe in that are not the things that were just fed to me when I was a kid through religion, through school, through parents, through politics, through society, through culture, and so on? What do I want for myself? And you have to be okay with thoughts of like, well, grandma might not like that, right? You might come to terms with yourself and go, you know what? I'm actually an atheist. And then you have this huge weight lifted from your shoulders and go, oh my God, pardon the pun. I've never really believed any of that stuff. I've never wanted to. I was just going along with it because I was afraid of being chastised by my family. Well, men aren't afraid of being chastised. I don't give a shit. Put the arrows in my chest. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. You can have your opinions. You can have your beliefs. You can cry. You can get upset. That's fine. And this is what allows you to start developing what I call the mountain mind. You become immovable. You exist only on your square. This is your permanent residence. And you only move when you feel like moving. And this, like I said earlier on, is really, really intoxicating to women. It's also a little bit off-putting because it's like, wait a second, he's not bending to me, right? But that's the beginnings of polarity. That's what starts that intrigue, right? Then you start communicating to her emotions and her arousal. And now it's like, wait a second, this guy is unreal. This guy, because men generally do not operate this way. Like, ladies, I know you know this. I know that the vast majority of guys either completely sway into your frame, or you can tell they're trying hard not to and putting on some sort of like tough guy front or whatever. Okay. There's not this sense of calm or stillness in them. It's like you can still pick up on a hint of anxiety behind that facade of being cool, or of this facade of being aggressive, or for this facade of being a tough guy, right? You can feel the anxiety. Ladies know. They know. And, when you're able to remain in that stillness and you have that self-control, that stoicism, and it's not a struggle for you, it means that you can start leading from a good place. Okay? So with the honesty and the acceptance of your shadow and being able to rid yourself of the personal shame and guilt you have around the things that you like, want, prefer, need, desire, and all that shit, then you can communicate it clearly to a woman. You can tell her, this is what I want, this is what I expect, or give her instructions on to do X, Y, and Z. And again, like, unless she has a very high level of like service type of attitude, it's going to feel good and bad at the same time. But that's great. That's great. It's like some women will be like, how dare you give me instructions? But at the same time, it turns her on. It's like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Kind of like in those romantic comedies where the couples meet up due to circumstance and they hate each other. They can't stand each other throughout the movie, and then they end up falling in love. It's sort of like that. And like she'll go home and like talk to her friends, and the things she says out of her mouth are like, he's such an asshole. This guy's such a jerk. He's so arrogant. Like, can you believe it? He told me to do this. He told me to do that. But while she's saying it, there's a smile on her face. And their friends are like, you like him. She's like, I don't fucking like him. And she's smiling, right? And if she's not smiling in her mouth, she's smiling in her eyes. This is real. Like, that's when it's real. Then she starts thinking, like constantly thinking about you, right? That, like when I said in the beginning, like when a girl actually likes you, her brain turns into a fucking hamster wheel. You ever see those funny memes, like of those hamsters on the wheels and their feet are moving like 5,000 miles an hour? That's how their brains are when they really like you. When they don't really like you, but they're not repulsed by you, that's when everything's just mid. They're just like, yeah, let's go out. Sure, okay. Like, things just seem pleasant, cheerful, friendly, easygoing, right? And the guy thinks, ooh, I'm lucky. I'm getting lucky. She wants to go out with me. Wow, golly. Shucks, guys. Guys, look at this girl I met. Look at her profile. No. That's not a girl liking you. Like, giving you some of her time is not liking you. Okay? I mean, she might be curious, but that's not liking you. Okay? So, when you're honest, right, you can create the polarity from the moment you say hello. And this is the most important thing. It's the most important thing because it says, like, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid to say something that you might not like. Right? Like I got a guy, he's a friend of mine. He's also he's a fellow dom, and the girls he meets, I mean, he has different preferences and rules than I do, but from get go, he's calling her baby girl, right? And right away, he's having her refer to him as daddy, and that's his way, right? That's not my preference. For me, honorifics, titles, and things of that nature are things that need to be earned. So for me, like, I don't want some strange girl calling me daddy. That cheapens the title, right? If you're going to have that title with me, it's something you're going to earn. And you're not going to earn, pet names from me, or you're going to earn pet names from me. I'm not going to give those away freely, all right? Maybe in a joke here or there, but, I take titles very seriously, but not him, But the way he goes about these things is he's just like full throttle and pushes it right up front, okay? Because he doesn't care, right? Because he's not in search of lukewarm. He's not in search of hot, right? Of course, he doesn't want cool. He's looking for boiling temperatures. And the women he does find, okay, because it's not a lot, right? He's quite active in different areas, so he actually does have a lot of women that he's communicating with throughout the week. But if you were to just say stick with one, like say like one dating app or X or Instagram or something, it's not a lot from each channel, okay? But put together, it is a lot of women. And he's looking for boiling hot. He only wants fuck yes. And because this is how he communicates, this is his preferred method of communication. I'm not going to tell him don't talk to women this way, right? Because my beliefs around honorifics are completely different. Okay. He doesn't care. He doesn't have that, he's not that strict with it. Okay. I'm much more strict of a dom than he is, but, he likes to have fun. He likes to get into the emotions like right away. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But he goes full throttle with who he is right off the bat. And he's looking for women who are accepting of that full throttle. And the ones who are not, he's like, all right, let you go. Looks like it's nice meeting you. Looks like it's not going to work out, and have a nice life. Right. And it's just that quick and easy, just a cut and it's done, moving on. But the women he does bring in, boy, these girls are with it. They are 100% bought in because they're like, yes, this is the style of man that I am looking for. But here's the thing, it's not a style he's putting on. It's just who he is. And that's the key, is to be authentically yourself, unashamed, and to be able to present it to women as you are. The problem getting in the way is that you've got layers, right? Plural, of self-rejection. So guys will say, well, my honest self is like, I'm kind of shy. I'm kind of boring, or, I'm kind of weird, or whatever. You know what I mean? No, you're not. Those are the layers of yourself that you reject. Right? You've not integrated yourself. You've got a lot of self-rejection. And so if you were to put your current authentic self forward, it's actually a series of lies. It's a series of rejections and masks over those rejections to make it seem like you're a normal dude. But you're far from normal. You're abnormal. You're abnormal because you hide yourself from yourself and from other people. That's not normal. That's just conditioned. That isn't an authentic man. Okay? And so you have to become okay with a woman not liking you. Like you really, really have to get that through your head. You have to accept this. And so many guys, they just can't do it. They can't accept the idea of a woman not liking him. And just being like, ew, I don't like you. Okay. I've been to some very nice restaurants in Manhattan. I didn't like all their food. Like, do you think the chef gives a fuck? No. They're fucking 4-star Michelin. It doesn't mean they're going to please every single person that walks into their door. That's impossible. Do you think that Rembrandt, like one of the greatest portrait artists of all time, pleased every patron or pleased every person that viewed his paintings? No, there's some people who think Rembrandt sucks. Do you think Rembrandt gives a shit? Miles Davis is one of the greatest trumpet players, if not the best trumpet player of all time. There are people out there who do not like his music. Do you think Miles gives a shit? No. But there are people who do. They're just like, Miles is the fucking greatest because he speaks to me. Right? That's how lovers of music will hear music differently. And with particular artists or whatever, they speak to me. They see a painting and they're like, oh, that painting speaks to me, right? Because it's just what they're doing. They're not trying to speak to people. They're not trying to connect with people. They're just being as authentic as they possibly can. And for those that love it, they love it. The ones that don't, oh well. That's it. But you can't let it all out if you're afraid of people not liking it. Like, do you really think Miles would have been as good as he got if he cared? I mean, I'm sure he cared a little bit because that's part of performance and being an entertainer. But if he cared too much, right, it would have completely changed the way he made music. So, and this is for any creative endeavor. And communication is a creative endeavor. So, when you are expressing yourself, you cannot, like as a man, you cannot be afraid of how someone receives you. That's not your problem. I mean, as long as you didn't like overtly say things that are disgusting, rude, violent, insulting, just like obvious shit, right? And they don't like you, that's their prerogative. They are allowed to not like you. Everyone on the planet is allowed to not like you. Everyone. You could be somebody alone on this planet and everyone dislikes you. So what? They're entitled to that. They're allowed to have their feelings. And a woman is allowed to have her feelings. Even the woman that you're with, she's allowed to have her emotions. But you don't have to take them on. You do not have to absorb them. You don't have to take them in, interpret them. What does that mean to me? What does that say about me or whatever? It has nothing to do with you. Someone's emotional state, someone's perceptions, someone's opinions is something that's happening inside their head, not your head. Right? So you don't have to take responsibility for that as long as you weren't being an asshole or rude or violent or whatever, But this is the beginnings. This is the beginnings of creating polarity. This is the beginnings of being able to lead. This is the beginnings of being able to be influential. This is the beginnings of creating dom-sub power dynamics. Like, think about, how could I be dominant if I'm walking on eggshells? How could I be dominant if I've got self-doubt? How could I be dominant if I have self-rejection? How? It doesn't make sense. They cancel each other out. And the woman can feel it. The woman can feel your conviction. And it's nothing that you have to be overt about, okay? Because guys will try to convince women that they have conviction, okay? By changing their tone or whatever. It's just something they will be able to feel, because women are fantastic at reading people and reading life between the lines. This is something they're incredibly skilled at. is reading between the lines. And sometimes they're too good for their own good and they misinterpret shit. Okay. But I would say more often than not, they're on point. Okay. So they can read between the lines, whether you're being truly convicted or not. And by conviction, I mean being that settled and grounded in yourself to bet on yourself in situations. Whew. Still on the tail end of a cold, so I was in my ass kicked for like 2 weeks with that weird shit that was going around. But I don't want to blow your ears out with a sneeze. All right, so I'm gonna pull this together here, guys. Learn to be honest. Learn to be authentic. If you want to talk about it, get in touch with me. Shoot me an email, justin@thedominanceacademy.com. Find me on Instagram, thedominance.academy, or go to the website and check out what I got going on there. If you have questions about coaching, we can have a chat. I don't have all the details listed in terms of numbers on the site. That's for a number of reasons. So just get in touch with me and we can sort you out. I've got books for sale, so please check those out. How to Be a Fantastic Lover. It's got a lot of downloads at this point, and it's good. It's good. It won't make you a man, but it'll make you a good lover. So, all right. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.